DreAllDay.com.
Quality life is made up of a string of excellent decisions, and your life's quality has improved because you have made the decision to tune into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. You know what that is? That is the go-getter energy that moves any person, that includes yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all of this together into one package, one framework, one approach, one lifestyle, one way of living. We wrote a book on the subject. We got a lot of books, but one book specifically with that title, actually a couple of them as a matter of fact, but one book that's just called that is all under the umbrella of Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, we're going to talk 3 steps that you need to take. Three key attributes. We could even call these 3 strategies, but there's actually one strategy that you follow in order to just get things in order for long-term results in life. These are 3 keys. We could even call them 3 steps, 3 keys, 3 attributes. We could use them interchangeably. Maybe we'll call it 3 keys. I'll decide later, for long-term results in life. All right, before we get into explaining what exactly these 3 keys are and why I'm talking about this, first let me tell you that I have a text message line where I want you to send me a text message as of the conclusion of this episode or during this episode, or you can send it to me right now and tell me what you liked best about today's masterclass. If you have a question about anything that I said here today, ask me by sending me a text message. If you have a comment, or if there is an episode that you want to know if I've ever talked about topic X, Y, or Z, send me a text message. My number is 305-384-6894. Let me tell you what's going to happen when you text me. First of all, we're going to confirm that you are really you. We want to make sure nobody hacked your phone. So once we confirm that that's you, you will be able to engage with me. I will text you back. I spend time every single day replying to my text messages. And secondly, you're going to receive my daily motivation text, which I send out every single morning. So every morning I send you a text message of an idea, a thought, something just to keep in mind that will keep you focused, that will keep you locked in and on point, sharp, and just make sure you're bringing your best game every single day. I'm going to give that to you for free, straight to your text every single day. Once you're in my daily motivation or in my text messaging community, you're going to get my daily motivation. That number again is 305-384-6894. Now, this topic, once again, 3 steps to long-term results. You want to create long-term results in life. There are 3 things that you're going to need in place, and there's a hierarchy, the 3-step hierarchy to long-term results. Maybe we'll call it that this episode. By the time you listen to it, you can just look at the title and see what I decided on, what I settled on. But these 3 elements must be in place for any achievements that you expect to have in life. And check this out, you'll know that I'm right. But what I just said, by looking at your own life, look at an area of your life. Look at, let's say, the top 3 areas of your life in which you have achieved at a high level and you are really proud of what you've achieved. I guarantee that you have these 3 pieces in place. It's kind of like a pyramid going up. You have these 3 pieces in place in order to have achieved at the level that you have in this thing. So if you're proud of your career, if you're proud of your family, if you're proud of how much money you got, you're proud of your physical health, you're proud of something that you have, just something that you've accomplished career-wise, business-wise, community-wise, I guarantee you have these 3 things in place. So let's get into them so that we can end all the suspense, shall we? Point number 1, the topic once again, this is the 3-part hierarchy to creating long-term results in your life. The number 1 thing you need, this is the foundation, the first thing that must be in place. And if you have listened to this show before, you're familiar with who I am, you may be able to guess what this first one is, the foundation. What would you say for, if you were to ask Dre Baldwin, what's the foundation of creating success in life? I mean, just the basic thing that you have to have in place before you do anything else. What is it? You should be able to answer this question. If you can't, then I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to be looking at you kind of funny right now if you've heard me before. The answer is mindset. This is number 1. The foundational piece of any success that you create, anything that you're going to do, anything that you wish to accomplish, anything you wish to have, anything you wish to achieve, you want this to be on your resume, the number 1 thing you have to have in place is mindset. What do I mean when I say mindset? Now, every day when I open this show, I tell you 4 mindset elements. This is the 4-part working your game framework: discipline, confidence, mental toughness, and personal initiative. What I mean when I say mindset is the way that you think about your life and your situation. That is what mindset means. How do you think about yourself? How do you think about your life? How do you think about the situation that you are in right now? And again, mindset does not mean what you actually do. It's just the way that you think about it. Because listen, all of us are born into a situation that we actually 100% of us, none of us control the situation that we're born into. You do not choose your parents. You don't choose the choices that your parents made before you came into the world, which played a huge role into the world that you were born into. You don't choose the choices that your parents make in your formative years. We'll say the first 10 to 20 years of your life. The choices that your parents make pretty much determine where you are and what situation you end up in, and then what you're going to need to do based on the situation that you're in, which might be a situation that you wish to perpetuate, meaning you like the situation your parents set you up in once you're old enough to kind of determine what it is, and you might want to keep it that way, so you got to do certain things at that point to keep it going. Or you might get to a point where you look at the situation that your parents they chose for themselves and that you get born into by default, and you decide, you know what, I want to change this a little bit. Maybe you want to change it a lot. Maybe you want to change 99% of what your parents set you up into, the world that they brought you into. Maybe you want to change about half of it. Maybe you want to change maybe 25% of it, but you decide that there's some things that maybe you want to do different based on the world that they brought you into. All of it is based on your mindset, the way that you decide to look at that situation, and then whether or not you are able to change it, or how much you decide you want to change it, or when and if you decide to change it, is all based on what? The way that you think. It is based on your mentality and your mindset. Understand that mindset, everybody, is the foundation of achievement. It is the foundational piece. It is the ground floor of any achievement. It's not even the ground floor. This is like the underground of achievement. Because if you want to build a really tall building of achievement, you have to dig really deep into the ground to make sure that the foundation is strong enough. That's the part that nobody will ever see. It's not even the ground floor. It's like the -2 floor, or whatever you call it. I don't even know what you call it. We'll just call it the basement of the basement of achievement in life is your mindset, the way that you think about things. Everything else is built on top of that. Because the way that you think leads to the actions that you take. And your actions lead to habits, habits to character, character to virtue, and virtue to whatever the highest level is of that, your self-actualization. Your consistent actions are a reflection of your values, which are a reflection of your mentality, the way that you think. And understand that you can change these. You can change your consistent actions, right? You can do something different anytime that you want to. Now, that's just random though. If you just do something different today and then you go back to doing the same stuff tomorrow, that's just a random change. If you want to make a long-term change in your consistent actions, what you need to change are your values. Now, how do you change your values? You change the way that you think. How you change the way that you think? You got to change your inputs. Who are you listening to? What are you listening to? What are you engaging with? I mean, you could hear a lot of things, but what are you listening to? What are you really taking heed of? What are you allowing to penetrate into your mind, and you're allowing it to kind of take hold in your thoughts, and you're really like marinating on that thing, and you're really going to do something with it? Because you can hear a lot of stuff every day. Like, how often do you hear somebody say some bullshit? You can identify it as bullshit and throw it away. But how often do you hear something and you say, you know what, I'm going to take that in, and I'm going to actually play around with that, and I'm going to actually go and do something with myself based on that thing that I heard? What are you taking in? To do anything well for an extended period of time, you must have a certain mindset in place. A person who goes to the gym every day, can we agree that there's something going on in their mind that leads them to go into the gym every day? Can we agree that there are people who wake up every day and they could go to the gym, but they do something different? Not necessarily that it's wrong or right, or that they're bad or good because of it, but can we agree that a person who wakes up every day and does certain things, they take certain actions, there must be a certain mentality that leads them to taking those actions? Can we agree on that? Regardless of what it is. Some people wake up every day and they go straight to their job and go to work. Some people wake up and they go straight to the gym and exercise. Some people wake up and they go right back to sleep. Or some people wake up and they grab their phone and spend an hour scrolling through social media. Can we agree that each one of these people, that there is a certain mentality that leads them to doing those actions every day? And listen, some people every day, they do a little bit of all of those things. They just do them in a different order based on whatever their priorities happen to be. And again, this is not a judgment. This is not saying that any one of these people is right or wrong. What I'm explaining is, and I'm asking you as a matter of fact, Can we agree that there is a mentality that leads to these actions? That's all I'm asking here. Can we agree on that? All of this is based on mindset. If you waste time every day, there's a mindset, there's a mentality that's leading you to waste time in doing whatever it is that is that time waster for you. And there are certain things that some of us do that other people might consider a waste of time. Some people might say, well, I don't want to have a podcast. That's a waste of time. Some people might say, I don't want to go to the gym. That's a waste of time because I need to be out here, getting this money. I don't want to spend time with my kids. That's a waste of time. I need to be out here doing my podcast. Again, everybody has their own way of thinking. To each their own. All right, well, this is a no judgment zone, at least here today so far. But we can agree that all of it is based on a mentality. Okay? How can any of you identify, or anyone, maybe you're this person, who could have a bunch of things going wrong in their life, at least according to their judgment, but they still have a positive outlook despite the fact that a lot of things are not going the way they want them to go? How is that? Mindset. Has any of you known someone or seen someone or been someone who was in a relatively good situation in their life, yet they still found a way to fuck it up? Can we agree that there's some people who fit that description? How does that happen? You got everything looking good for you, they find a way to screw it up. How is that? Mindset. It's all based on the way that you think. Your mentality and the way that you consistently think, your consistent thoughts will be reflected in the results of your life. So if you look at your life right now, every aspect of your life, I don't care what it is, whether we're talking your finances, we're talking your fitness, talking your relationships with whoever, with how you are viewed in your community, how you are viewed in your industry, whether you are viewed in your community or your industry, how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. All of these things are a reflection of the way that you consistently think. If you want to make changes in any of these areas, all you need to do is change the way you are consistently thinking, which will lead to a change in your consistent actions, which will lead to, when those are your habits, by the way, which will lead to a change in your results. Now, this is not going to happen immediately, but it will happen over time. And the bridge between changing those actions, those consistent actions, and then seeing them through to the results, because there may be a little bit of time that you need to change those consistent actions, and now you need to do a different set of consistent actions before you see the result. That bridge right there, we call that discipline. All right, and that bridge right there, some days you're going to feel like, man, why do I keep doing this new thing? It hasn't even produced any results yet. Why should I keep doing it? Why should I keep showing up? You know what we call that? We call that the third day. All right, and I wrote a book on it. I'm holding it up right now if you're watching this on video. This book is the bridge between your changed habits and actually seeing them through to the results. That is the third day. And I wrote this book. I'm going to give it to you for free so that you can actually get this, because it matters so much that you need to understand this. That's why I'm giving you the book free. You can get it by going to thirddaybook.com. All right, so the number one foundational piece, everybody clear, is what we call mindset, the way that you think. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is the 3-step hierarchy to creating long-term results in life. Number 2 thing you need is strategy. Now, what do I mean when I say strategy? Because a lot of people throw this word around, strategy, and sometimes they are actually talking about strategy. Many times they are not actually talking about strategy, and a lot of people throw this word out and don't even know what they're talking about. Have you ever heard someone say something like, well, I'm playing chess, not checkers, because they feel like they're being a strategist in a moment? I hear a lot of people saying that, and they don't even know how to play chess, or they're throwing the phrase out, and they don't even embody what they're talking about. What is strategy? Strategy is the big picture plan of what you will do in order to create your results. That's what strategy means in layman's terms. It's just a big picture plan of how you're going to get results. It is the understanding of what you want to happen. In episode 1835, I explained to you, for example, 3 strategies for marketing yourself. And there are basically only 3 ways to market yourself: advertising, collaboration, and content. Anything you could do to market yourself is going to fall under one of those 3 categories. If I send you an email, that is content. If I go on somebody else's TV show, I go on Oprah, that is collaboration between me and Oprah. If I put out a post about my book, The Third Day, and put it on my Instagram, we could call that content, we could call it advertising. But everything you do to market to your audience, your intended audience, or just the people, period, so you can find your intended audience, is going to fall under one of those 3: advertising, collaboration, or content. That's just an example here of a strategy for getting attention in business. Strategy And I'm not talking about business here. Strategy is the what you're going to do. Okay? Not the how you're going to do it, but it's the what you do. That is what strategy means. So if I tell you, you need to be more disciplined, or you come to me and say, Dre, I need to be more disciplined. Now, how exactly am I going to do that? First of all, before we get into the how, before I start giving you all the different things you could do to be more disciplined, first we got to talk about the what. All right, what is it that you want to actually do? I want to find out why you want to be more disciplined. That's the first thing that I'm going to ask. And anyone you come to with that same challenge, they should ask you that question first. They should back up, not answer the question that you asked, but actually back up and say, well, let's answer a more important question first. Why do you want to be more disciplined? Then let's figure out a strategy for that. Then we'll get to the how. Then we'll get to the tactics of it. My strategy, for example, for getting in shape is to go to the gym, mind my nutrition, and make sure that I'm getting good rest. Everything that I could possibly do under the umbrella of getting in shape is going to fall under one of those three things. So when I say go to the gym, that can mean, well, let's just say exercise. Instead of saying go to the gym, because go to the gym is actually more of a how to do things. So let's just say get exercise. So my exercise could be taking a walk every day. That goes under the umbrella of exercising. I could be go to the gym, and what could I do in the gym? So a lot of things you can do in the gym. Depends on what gym it is. I could lift weights. I could take a yoga class. I could go to the swimming pool. I could sign up for boot camp. I could hire a personal trainer. I could do some calisthenics. I could use the machines. I could use the free weights. I could do pull-ups. There's a lot of different things that I could do inside of a gym. I could do cardio outside and go run. I can ride a bike. I can go swim in the ocean. There's a lot of different things that I could do under, again, the umbrella of moving my body, but that's one way that I'm going to get in shape. That's part of the overall strategy of getting in shape. Minding my nutrition. All right, what am I drinking? Am I going to drink less alcohol and drink more water? Am I going to stop drinking sugared drinks and stop drinking soda? Am I going to take more protein shakes instead of taking Red Bulls? And another part of it is getting good rest. How much sleep am I getting on a daily basis? What's the quality of my sleep? Am I making sure the room is completely dark? Is it quiet when I'm sleeping? Is it cool? Is it hot? What kind of mattress am I sleeping on? Do I have quality pillows? All of those things can go under the how to do it. But the strategy is moving my body, minding what I put in my body, and making sure I'm getting rest. All of those three things, everything I can possibly do to get in shape falls under those three. So that's my strategy, those three things. Now, again, I can do a lot of different things underneath those three, but the strategy are those three. I'm giving you these examples so that you can understand the difference between strategy and the details of the strategy. A lot of times people get mixed up in the details of things as if those details are the only way to do things, or they get lost in the details because there are so many different ways to execute a strategy that they don't really understand which one they're talking about. So let's get clear on what strategy means here. So I have many choices as to how I execute my strategy, but the strategy is very clear. Marketing guys, anyone who works in marketing, like to say that the key to getting your business up and running is understanding what you are selling and how you are selling it. And that's it. That's the strategy. When I put books out, what I'm selling is the book, but what I'm actually selling is not the book. It's the material in the book. I don't ever tell you, hey, get this book because it's, let's see, I got this book the third day right here in front of me. How many pages is this? It's 184 pages, this copy that I have right here. I'm not telling you there's 184 pages. Does it really matter to you? Not really. What matters is what this book is going to do for you. How is it going to change you? How is it going to change your mindset and the way that you think? How is it going to give you some strategies to actually help you do what you want to do in life and get the results you want to have by being who you need to be? That's what I talk about. So what am I actually selling? I'm selling the idea that I'm going to help you be who you want to be as a person, which will then lead to you doing what you want to do, which will lead to you having what you want to have. That's what I'm selling. How am I selling it? With this one specifically, I'm going to give it to you free. All I'm asking is that you cover the shipping. All right, so in marketing, they say, what are you selling? How are you selling it? That's the strategy. Now, you can swap a bunch of other things inside of that. It could be a book. It can be a course. It could be one-on-one coaching. It could be personal training. It can be a weekend-long retreat. It can be a car. It can be whatever it is you're selling. It could be carpeting somebody's house. Whatever it is you want to sell, what are you selling? How are you selling it? That's the strategy. Every business out there in the world has this strategy. Amazon, what are you selling? How are you selling it? Apple, what are you selling? How are you selling it? Nike, what are you selling? How are you selling it? That is the strategy for the marketing. Now, this very show, the strategy of this show is I'm going to give you the game. I say that often here. I'm just giving you the game. The game, it could be related to mindset. It could be related to business. It could be related to some social topic, current event every now and then. It could be related to dealing with other people, interpersonal skills. It could be related to business, but I'm giving you the game. This is what the game is. Whether you like it or not, this is the game. Now here's how you play it. That's what this show is about. That's the strategy of this show. So what's the game? Each day I'm giving you something different. All right, those are the details. And that leads us to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is the 3-tier hierarchy for creating long-term success in your life. The third thing you need is the tactics. So you got the mentality, you understand the strategy. So the second thing is you just need to understand the strategy. You don't need to it's not even necessary to create a strategy because the strategy may already be in place. You just need to understand it. The third thing is the tactics. Now the tactics is where now you get to make choices. Actually, the tactics is where you have to make choices, because when it comes to tactics, there are too many to choose amongst. You can't do them all at the same time. Now, you can test them out. You can try out a lot of different tactics, but eventually you have to make some choices, meaning you have to cut some off and you have to commit to some. That's where the tactics come in. This is the last step. Unfortunately, here's the mistake that many people make when it comes to this framework right here. Many people try to start with tactics and they fail. This is the biggest problem that many people have just in life, period, is that they try to start everything with their tactics and they fail. They say, all right, well, Dre, I want to sell more copies of my book. So what do I need to do? All right, this is the question people ask. What do I need to do? All right, should I put my books on Amazon? Should I put my books on Barnes & Noble? Should I walk around with a stack of books in my book bag and just stop people at the corner and try to sell it to them? What should I do? Well, first of all, let's back up. If someone came to me with that question, they started asking me, what should I do? I said, first of all, let's back up. Let's figure out what exactly you're selling and how exactly you want to sell it. And we need to have a clear strategy. And before that, we need to understand the mindset behind this. All right, let's figure out what we're really trying to get at here, which is may not just be about getting people to have your book. What's the bigger picture here? Mindset, strategy, tactics. Tactics come last. Many amateurs start focusing on the tactics first, and this is why they fail. Strategy is what to do. Tactics are how to do it. For example, if I decide that I want to get in shape and I decide one of my tactics is going to the gym, well, there's a sub-tactic to that tactic, which is I'm going to do 2 sets on the bench press, 3 sets on the squat, 30 minutes on the treadmill. So those are all tactics, and they're interchangeable. I can change those up. I don't have to do the treadmill. I could use the elliptical. I don't have to use the bench. I could use free weight dumbbells or some type of machine. I don't have to do 3 sets on squat. I might do deadlift. In business, for example, I might run some ads on Google, but then I might run some ads on Facebook. I might collaborate with people at networking events, and then I might create content on YouTube 3 times a week. I might do all of them at the same time. These are all the how-tos within the strategy. Understand that tactics are interchangeable and they should change over time because time and circumstance changes. My content used to be only YouTube. Now I do articles, I do this masterclass, and I do YouTube still. And in the future, I'll change it again. When we have some other type of platform to put material out, I'll probably use that too. Many people jump straight into the tell me what to do. They jump straight into tactics without understanding the strategy, and they don't have the mindset. And here's the funny thing about it. Here's the paradoxical truth of that, is that sometimes this actually works. Sometimes when you jump straight into tactics, if you hit on the right tactic at the right time, you might actually get some early success. The problem with that early success is that when it stops working, because it will eventually stop working, because you don't understand strategy, it will be very difficult for you to adjust. This is something that actually happened to me. I just told you the story of, in yesterday's masterclass, I told you about when I was putting out the videos on YouTube and I started to draw a significant audience of people and I knew exactly what they wanted. So I put out a product and I started selling it and I was making money. So I just kept doing it. Eventually that stopped working. And when it stopped working, I had to go backwards. I had to go backwards and understand. I had to learn that I didn't learn strategy for selling. I was successful at first for several years because it was just making money and I never needed to think about strategy because it was working. Why did I need to think about doing anything else? And then when it stopped working, I realized, let me go actually learn how to market and sell. I thought I knew how to market and sell because I was marketing and selling, but I didn't know what I didn't know. I couldn't explain it to another person. If someone had said to me, Dre, can you teach a class on how you market and sell your products? I could not. I could tell the story of how I marketed and sold my products, but I couldn't teach a class on it. And for those of you who don't understand the difference between the two, telling the story is just telling people what you did and how it worked for you. In my situation, it worked specifically for me, but I couldn't tell anyone else to do that same thing because they had followed that same process at the time that mine didn't work as well anymore because YouTube's algorithms changed, people's tastes changed. I stopped playing basketball. I couldn't tell somebody else to go do the exact same thing at that time because it wouldn't have worked. Now, when you can teach a class on something, that's when you can give people a framework that works for anyone. They can plug and play your framework into what they do and they will get a result. That's completely different from telling your story. Those are two different skills. A lot of people actually everybody can tell their story. Well, that's actually not true either. Anyone could tell their story because everybody who's listening to me, you know what your story is. Maybe you can tell it, maybe you're not so good at telling it, but you could tell your story. Not everybody can teach a class. Not everyone is qualified to teach a class. You're qualified to teach a class when you can take a framework that will work for anyone. In other words, you can codify what you did in such a way that someone else can use it, even though they don't use it the same way you did, and they can still produce a result. That's a completely different skill set. So this is where, again, when people jump straight into the tactics, they sometimes may get the results, but they don't always get the results. So you have to understand the bigger picture, which is what's the strategy. And if you really listen between the lines here, this is the be, do, have principle. Be is the mindset, do is the strategy, and the have is the tactics. And the be, do, have principle I talked about in my book, Work on Your Game, where I explained that this is the process of creating in life. And the way that you lay out your be, do, and have in life is you work backwards. You start with what you want to have, then you talk about what you're going to do, what you're willing to do, and then you talk about who do you need to be in order to do these things. And then you execute in the opposite direction. You be first, mindset, do, strategy, have, tactics. Now, why is have and tactics the same thing? You might understand how the do is the strategy and the be is the mindset. Have is the tactics because the tactics are the thing that are actually going to produce the result. Those are the things that are going to squeeze the results out of your funnel, the tactics. But you don't jump straight into the tactics. All right, you got to start with, again, the mindset, the mentality. When you understand that you have that foundation in place, then we can build on top of that the understanding, the strategy of why we're going to do things this way, then the tactics. Because when the tactics stop working or when the tactic is not working the way you thought it would, and this will happen, now you can switch out that tactic for something else because you understand the strategy. But when you don't understand the strategy and one of your tactics stop working, now you're stuck in the mud because you have no idea what's happening or why, and you also don't know what to do. This is why you got to have these in order. So let's recap the class today, which is 3 steps for long-term results, or the 3 pieces of the hierarchy of long-term results. I think that's what we'll call it. Number 1, mindset. The way you think about life and the way you think about your situation, mindset is the foundation of achievement because the way that you think leads to the actions that you take, and that leads to everything else. Anything you see someone doing on a consistent basis, there is a mentality around it, whether you like it or not. Anything you are doing, whether you like it or not, there is a mentality around it. If you want to change it in any way, change the mentality. Point number 2, strategy. Strategy is the big picture plan of what you will do in order to achieve your results. Is your understanding of what you want to happen and generally what needs to happen in order to produce that result. Again, it's not getting so specific in detail, but it's understanding what you want to happen and how it's going to occur. There are strategies in business, there's strategy in mindset, there's strategy in relationship, there's strategy in marketing, there's strategies for everything. And people who are able to consistently produce results, it is not because they are geniuses and they're great tacticians, it is because they understand the strategy. Therefore, even as times change and they change, they can continue producing results because they understand the bigger picture, which is known as strategy. Point number 3, the tactics. This is the final step. Unfortunately, many people use this as the first step when it should actually be the last step. Tactics are just the specifics of how you're going to do things. But if you don't understand the what and the why, then the how, even if it's working for a while, it's going to stop working, and then you're going to be dead in the mud because you won't know exactly what to do. So tactics are interchangeable, and your tactics can and should change as time and circumstances change. For example, my content, again, used to be all YouTube. Now, look where you're listening to this now. You might even be watching this on YouTube, but I do a lot more than just YouTube now. Before, that's all I was doing. Many people jump straight into the tactics and just want someone to tell them what to do. Or you go Google, hey, how can I do this thing? And you get a couple answers and then you go implement it. The problem is you're jumping on a hamster wheel that you will never be able to get off because you don't understand the strategy, and especially when it works, because that makes it even more dangerous to you. It's like a person who's a bad shooter in basketball. You leave them wide open, they make a shot, so now they think they should keep shooting, and then they miss the next 10, but because they made the first one, they think they should just keep doing it. That's what happens when people get early beginner's luck with tactics without understanding the strategy. If you don't know the strategy, you won't be able to adjust. Now, all that said, if you want some help with your strategy when it comes to your mindset, your personal growth, your personal development, and or building your business, reach out to me at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Just click the button to fill out the form for a quick call. You can hop on with me because I've opened up my 3rd day mastermind so that I can start working with people directly and helping you really get the strategies down, and then we can get into the tactics once we have mastered the mindset for your growth, your business growth, your personal growth. A lot of people ask me, do I do any coaching? Do I do any one-on-one? Do I do any direct mentoring? I do now. Workonyourgameuniversity.com is where you go. Click the button to sign up for a call. You hop on a call with me. We'll talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and how I could possibly be the bridge between those two. That's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Send me a text, best insight you got from today's masterclass, or you can ask me for that link. I'll text it back to you. My number 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre, all